If you close your eyes and picture someone with a net worth of $1 million or more, what do you see? A luxury car in the driveway, a large house in an expensive neighborhood, designer clothes, expensive watches, first-class flights, and the kind of lifestyle that announces its own success loudly and visibly to everyone who encounters it. That is the image. That is what our culture has taught us wealth looks like. And according to one of the most rigorous and most surprising research studies ever conducted on American wealth, that image is almost completely wrong. Two researchers spent decades interviewing actual millionaires, not the people who looked wealthy, but the people who actually were. And what they found completely overturned everything most people believe about how wealth is built, what it looks like, and who actually has it. Welcome to Book Essence, where we unlock the essence of every book, so you get the wisdom without spending weeks reading. Today we are breaking down The Millionaire Next Door by Stanley and William Danko, one of the most eye-opening, most practically important, and most misunderstood books ever written about personal finance. Let us unlock it. Stanley and Danko did not write this book from theory or speculation. They wrote it from data, and a lot of it. Over 2 decades, they conducted face-to-face interviews, surveys, and detailed financial analyses of thousands of American millionaires. And they began their research with an assumption that turned out to be completely wrong. They expected to find wealthy people in wealthy neighborhoods, in the expensive zip codes, the gated communities, the addresses that signal success. What they found instead was that many of the people living in those expensive neighborhoods were not wealthy at all. They had high incomes, they had expensive possessions, they had the appearance of wealth, carefully and expensively maintained, but they had very little actual net worth, because almost everything they earned was going straight back out on the house, the cars, the schools, the vacations, the clothes, the restaurants, the entire elaborate apparatus of looking wealthy. The people who were actually wealthy, who had genuine, substantial net worth, were somewhere else entirely. They were in ordinary neighborhoods, driving ordinary cars, wearing ordinary clothes, living lives that gave almost no external signal of the financial security they had built. Stanley and Danko called them the millionaires next door because they were literally next door, in the house you drove past every day without a second glance, running the business you never noticed, living the life you never envied because it looked too ordinary to envy. And that ordinarity, that deliberate, intentional invisibility, was not a side effect of their wealth. It was one of its primary causes. One of the most useful frameworks in this entire book is the distinction Stanley and Danko draw between 2 types of people, and understanding which type you are is one of the most important financial self-assessments you can make. They call them PAWs and UAWs, prodigious accumulators of wealth and under-accumulators of wealth. A PAW is someone whose actual net worth is significantly higher than you would expect given their age and income. They earn a reasonable income, sometimes a modest one, but they have accumulated far more wealth than their income would suggest is possible, because they live on significantly less than they earn, because they invest consistently, because they make financial decisions based on building wealth, not on maintaining appearances. A UAW is someone whose actual net worth is significantly lower than you would expect, given their age and income. They often earn a high income, sometimes a very high income, but their net worth is small because their spending matches or exceeds their earning. They have a high standard of living, they do not have financial security. Stanley and Danko offer a rough formula for calculating where you should be if you are on track. Multiply your age by your annual income, divide by 10. The result is roughly what your net worth should be if you are on track. If your actual net worth is significantly higher than that number, you are a PAW. If it is significantly lower, you are a UAW. Most high-income earners, when they apply this formula honestly, discover that they are UAWs. And that discovery, uncomfortable as it is the beginning of a different kind of financial life. One of the most persistent misconceptions about the millionaires in this study is that they were miserable, that they denied themselves pleasure, lived lives of joyless austerity, and sacrificed happiness for the accumulation of numbers in a bank account. The research does not support this. The millionaires Stanley and Danko interviewed were not ascetics. They were not miserable. They were not people who denied themselves everything good in life in pursuit of a financial abstraction. They were people who had made a fundamentally different decision about what they valued and whose spending reflected those actual values rather than the values their culture expected them to perform. The typical millionaire in this study did not drive a new luxury car. They drove a reliable used car, often a domestic model that they had owned for several years and planned to keep for several more. Not because they couldn't afford better, because they had decided that the difference in enjoyment between a reliable used car and an expensive new one was not worth the financial cost. The typical millionaire in this study did not live in the most expensive neighborhood they could afford. They lived in a modest house, in a neighborhood where their financial situation was average or slightly above. Not because they were forced, because they understood something that their higher income neighbors had not, that the neighborhood you live in determines the spending level you feel pressured to maintain. Live among people who spend extravagantly, and you will spend extravagantly. Live among people who live modestly, and modest becomes normal. Frugality, in the millionaire's understanding, is not deprivation. It is the decision to let your actual values determine your spending, rather than letting your spending be determined by social pressure and cultural expectation. Here is the finding in this research that surprises people most, and that most directly challenges the assumption most people carry about the relationship between income and wealth. High income does not produce wealth. This seems impossible. Surely the person who earns more accumulates more. Stanley and Danko show with extensive data that this is not reliably true. They identified a specific group that they called high-income, low-wealth people, professionals, executives, and business owners who earned substantial incomes, sometimes very substantial, and who had accumulated surprisingly little actual net worth. The mechanism is simple and almost perfectly cruel in its logic. High income creates high lifestyle expectations. High lifestyle expectations create high spending. High spending leaves little to invest. Little investment produces little wealth. And the cycle reinforces itself because high spending produces the need for continued high income, which produces continued high spending, which produces little wealth accumulation. The researchers found a specific profession that exemplified this pattern most clearly: physicians. Doctors in America earn among the highest incomes of any professional group, and yet doctors as a group accumulate wealth at a rate significantly below what their income would predict. The reasons are structural and social. Doctors spend years in education, accumulating debt before they begin earning. They begin their careers late relative to their peers, and when they finally begin earning, they are surrounded by a professional culture that expects a certain standard of living: expensive homes, expensive cars, private schools, exclusive clubs, a lifestyle that consumes the extraordinary income almost as fast as it arrives. The lesson Stanley and Danko draw is precise. Income is not wealth. Wealth is what you accumulate after income arrives, and accumulation requires the gap between what comes in and what goes out, a gap that high income makes socially and culturally very difficult to maintain. One of the most original and most practically important concepts in The Millionaire Next Door concerns what happens when wealthy people give money to their adult children, and the research findings here are both surprising and sobering. They call it economic outpatient care, the regular financial subsidies that wealthy parents provide to their adult children, and they argue that this practice, however well-intentioned, frequently produces the opposite of what the parents intend. The research is consistent. adult children who receive regular financial support from their parents, help with the down payment, assistance with the car payment, supplementation of the lifestyle their own income cannot maintain, consistently accumulate less wealth than adult children who do not receive such support. The mechanism Stanley and Danko identify is the same one that produces the high income trap, but in reverse. When income is supplemented externally, the recipient's spending adjusts upward to meet the new, higher level of available resources. And when they adjust upward, they become dependent on the supplement to maintain their standard of living. They spend more, they save less, they develop a lifestyle that requires external support to sustain, and they lose gradually and invisibly the muscle of financial self-sufficiency that is built only by living within the constraints of your own income. The most financially successful adult children in this research were those whose parents had given them something different, not money. It is the values, the habits, and the financial education that allow them to build wealth themselves. 6. Wealth is freedom. Not the freedom to spend more, but the freedom to need less. The freedom to work by choice, to live by your own priorities, and to stop when you decide to stop. Stanley and Danko close with a truth so simple that it is easy to underestimate. Building wealth is less about what you earn and more about what you keep. And what you keep is determined not by your income, but by your values, your habits, and the daily, invisible decisions you make about what your life is actually for. The Millionaire Next Door made those decisions differently. You can too. That is the essence of The Millionaire Next Door, and that is what we do here at Book Essence. We take the world's most powerful books and unlock their wisdom, so you can build the kind of wealth that actually sets you free. If this video brought you value, please like, subscribe, and share it with someone who is ready to stop performing wealth and start building it. Every week on Book Essence, a new book, a new lesson, a new chance to grow. Until next time, keep reading, keep growing, and keep unlocking your essence. See you in the next one.